Hi, I'm Ryan Nusbickel, and welcome to Storytime. Storytime is a really cool thing. It's brought to you by the Arch Park Foundation, by the Gateway Arch Park Foundation, and that's in honor of National Park Week. We are in National Park Week, and National Park Week is a time to discover amazing places and stories of history and culture. Very cool thing. And because of our current reality right now, it may not be easy for you to get out and see some of our national parks. That's why it is really great for us that you are joining us and logging in today because I'm going to be talking about a national park that we hold near and dear here in St. Louis, and that, of course, is the Gateway Arch National Park. Now, this reading is brought to you by the Gateway Arch Park Foundation. The Gateway Arch Park Foundation is a nonprofit organization with a mission to ensure that the Gateway Arch, its grounds, neighboring public space, and attractions will be a vital, welcoming, and well-supported resource for the community and nation for generations to come. It's a nonprofit organization, and you've probably seen this organization in effect and maybe didn't even know it. Like all those great yoga events that have happened out at Keener Plaza when it starts getting a little warmer in St. Louis, that's all put on by this foundation. Other concerts and fun family events on the Arch grounds put on by this foundation. So it's a great resource, and I'm certainly proud to be partnering with them. Again, my name's Ryan Nusbickel. Here's a little history on me. I am originally from Georgia, but I moved to St. Louis in the year 2000. So I've adopted you if you haven't adopted me yet. I came to St. Louis because I was working at a local TV station, and I worked there as a reporter for several years. I've since shifted careers, and now I write and I illustrate children's books. And a lot of the books that I write and illustrate have sort of a St. Louis theme to them. So they either take place in St. Louis, there are certain St. Louis cultural events or monuments or things like that that are central characters. I just like to spotlight the city of St. Louis because it's such a unique, fun place, and we like to let people know about our great hometown. I have since becoming an author and illustrator, I have joined, or I've actually married. I got married a nice Kirkwood girl, settled down. I live in the Glendale area. I have two kids, 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. Jenny is 6 and Carrie is 4. Also, I want to tell you too that we are going to be doing a giveaway after this reading, so you want to stick around afterwards. Actually, we're not going to do the giveaway right after the reading. We're going to give you some information about it. And the book that I'm reading today is called My Pet Arch. And this is a book that's pretty cool for me because it's one of those books where I remember how I got the idea for the book. So first of all, this book is all about what would you do if the arch followed you home. And let me tell you a little story about how I got the idea for this book. I was visiting the Arch. This was probably about 5-6 years ago. We were out on the Arch grounds, and I overheard a child and her mom on the Arch grounds, and the little girl was saying to her mom, hey, they were standing by one of, I think, maybe the south leg of the Arch, and they were like, let's go over to the other leg of the Arch, walk over there. And I thought, legs, legs walk. The Arch has legs. What if the Arch could walk? And I thought about what if the Arch suddenly came alive? And maybe a young person, like a young boy, would go visit the Arch, and then he wakes up the next morning, and the Arch is in his front lawn. I thought, well, this sounds like a pretty nutty story. This is right up my alley. And so I put some ideas together, and as well as some pictures, and came up with My Pet Arch. So this is My Pet Arch. This is what we're going to be reading here in just a moment. Again, it's all about what would you do if the Arch followed you home. So, by the way, the following story is based on a true Arch tale, and that is not true at all. This is not a true story. In fact, here's my little prop here. This story is what we like to call a tall tale. There we go. A tall tail. See if I can hold it right ways for you. Tall tale. Now, a tall tale is a tale that is not true at all. But the more you tell it, the more fun it gets. And it gets really fun with this book. Remember, this is not a true story. It's a tall tale. And with the arch, we're talking a very, very tall tale. Here we go. My Pet Arch. If you're a fan of tall tales, here's one that's extra large. It's about the time my family and I went to visit the Gateway Arch. We went all the way to the top, where the view was amazing to see. So here they are at the top of the arch, looking down at downtown St. Louis. We went all the way to the top where the view was amazing to see. But I couldn't help but get the feeling something else was watching me. Does it look like the arch is maybe leaning in and kind of checking him out a little bit? Well, the next morning I awoke to a rustling sound outside. By the way, did you know that dogs like to do yoga? It's true. He got some yoga candles. Dog is doing the doggy down pose. Pretty good. Anyway, the very next morning I awoke to a rustling sound outside. I went to the window, threw open the curtains, and that's when my eyes got wide. You'll never believe what I saw in my front yard all alone. It was the arch, the Gateway Arch. It had followed me home. And I think those are some very confused joggers there. They're like, what is going on? Well, I tiptoed outside, still not sure I was awake. And that's when the arch leaned over and gave my hand a gentle shake. Maybe it was an arch fist bump, maybe. What an imagination, my parents exclaimed when I told them about our guest. But the arch stopped, when I told them about our guest, but they stopped laughing when the arch decided to join us for breakfast. You can see right here that the cereal has gone airborne and Mom is pouring coffee, but it is not going in the coffee cup. So later that morning, I left for school and the arch came along as well. And that is one slightly confused school bus driver. I mean, it's not every day that you see at a bus stop a national monument. So this is, like I said, what kind of story is it? You can say it at home. It's a tall tale. A tall tale. Well, later that morning, I left for school and the arch came along as well. My poor teacher fainted when I introduced him during show and tell. And as you can see, the arch did get his visitor's badge. So the arch checked in at the office, got his visitor's badge, and then showed up for show and tell. And the poor teacher, of course, passed out. Well, they caught her at least, so that's good. We never did find the soccer ball that the arch kicked on the playground outside. This was a fun picture for me to draw because I started thinking, okay, what would this be like if the arch kicked a soccer ball? Well, that ball would probably blast off, right? It would go to the moon. That would be one heck of a kick. So I included like some yellows and orange colors there to really have the ball blast off. And of course, down below, you can see the boy and his friends. They're just looking at this and going, well, there goes our soccer game. So anyway, we never did find the soccer ball that the arch kicked on the playground outside, but he more than made up for it by turning himself into the perfect recess slide. I love doing this picture. This was fun for me because I wanted the arch to come alive and be animated, but I also wanted him to be extremely flexible, kind of like a spaghetti noodle maybe. So here he turns into a twisty slide, and on this other side, he forms a staircase where everyone can go up to the top and they can then slide back down. So fun stuff there. And actually, what I wanted you to see too, I dug up, real quick sidebar here, I dug up my old sketchbook when I did this picture. So here's the final picture, and there's the sketchbook. So you can see how I did this here. But what I do is I draw them out in pencil, and then I ink them in with black ink like this. And you'll notice that this is all black and white. It doesn't have color. That's because I use a computer program to add the color. So I scanned this and added the color with a computer program. But this is my sketchbook that I did, My Pet Arch. There's the soccer picture too, all in black and white. It was kind of fun to pull that sketchbook up. It had been under some stacks over the years because I did this book a few years back. But I enjoyed finding it again. That was fun. Okay, so he's made up for it by turning himself into the perfect recess slide. And on a field trip to a baseball game, the Arch couldn't stay away. He took up an entire section of seats, and boy, did he love doing the wave. Now, you know the wave, right? Busch Stadium, imagine you're at Busch Stadium at a Cardinals game, and you're looking over into the right field bleachers, and this is what you see. You see the Arch. And by the way, not just the Arch, but the Arch upside down. That's right, feet in the air, doing the wave. Now, you guys know the wave, right? Can you do it at home with me real fast? You ready? Woohoo! You ready? Here it comes again. Okay, very good. Good job doing the wave. Nice. I think that's probably a first for me to do a wave inside my own house. Certainly a first for me to do it on a Facebook Live. Anyway, the March loved doing the wave. And after the game, we made new friends at one of the city's great dog parks, and we even had time to play cowboy before it began to get dark. So they go to one of the great dog parks here in St. Louis, and the boy tells those people at the dog park, because he's brought the Arch, don't worry, the Arch is friendly. The Arch has, had all his shots, his Bordetella, all that good stuff. And of course here, they even had time to play cowboy before it began to get dark. You can see here the boy is having a great time riding the Arch downtown. The dog, I think the dog's a little freaked out. The dog is wanting to get down on the ground. Yeah. The dog is like, terra firma, now, please. Okay, well, the very next morning, I awoke figuring, okay, the Arch is now long gone, but he had returned, and the Arch brought some of his friends along. So the boy thinks the Arch is probably back at the Arch grounds the next day. No. There's even more stuff in his front yard. There was a statue of Stan the Man, always ready for a ball game. You know the Stan Musial statue, right? Outside Busch Stadium, everyone's always like, hey, let's meet up at the Cardinal game. Let's meet up at the Stan the Man statue. Well, that statue's not there anymore, is it? No, it's right here in this boy's front lawn. The Stan Musial statue came alive and showed up at this boy's house. So here we go. There was a statue of Stan the Man, always ready for a ball game. Stan was sharing a laugh with King Louis XIV and the King from the Chess Hall of Fame. Oh my gosh, Stan is there with King Louis from Art Hill, which you know Art Hill, that's where everyone goes sledding in the wintertime. And also, of course, the top of Art Hill in Forest Park is the Art Museum. Absolutely amazing and totally free. Love the Art Museum. So he's there with King Louis, and not to mention, we have the National Chess Hall of Fame here in St. Louis, and the King chess piece, which is outside the Chess Hall of Fame, has joined them at this boy's house. But that's not all. We spotted the Dogtown Turtles and those statues of Lewis and Clark, and City Gardens' Pinocchio, and that big eyeball from Lawmeyer Park. Now, you know the big eyeball at Lawmeyer Sculpture Garden, right? Every time we go there, I'm there with my kids, I'm always like, that is one big eyeball. It's easy to forget just how big the eyeball is. Well, guess what? The eyeball came alive too. And with Pinocchio from City Garden in downtown St. Louis, beautiful place, they came alive as well. Interesting stuff. Well, City Garden's Pinocchio and that big eyeball from Lawmeyer Park. I saw the Missouri Botanical Garden dancing fairies and that big bottle of Vest soda pop, which is making a comeback, by the way. So they were hanging out with the praying mantis from the City Museum rooftop. Now, City Museum in St. Louis, raise your hand if you've been to the City Museum in St. Louis. Okay, good. City Museum is an awesome place. Anyone else know what is on top of the roof of the City Museum? Let's see, yep, okay, yeah. A school bus is on top of the roof of the City Museum with this sculpture of a praying mantis. Also on top of the roof at the City Museum is an airplane, a large slide, and of course, a Ferris wheel. So next time, if you haven't been to the rooftop of the City Museum, get up to the rooftop. You can ride a Ferris wheel on top of a building. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, and the T-Rex from the Science Center was sitting on that Kirkwood sculpture of chairs. You know that sculpture. And inside this giant high-heeled shoe were the Peabody Opera House Bears. So in St. Louis, there is a company called Brown Shoe Company. That is because they make brown shoes. You're right, actually shoes of every color. And outside Brown Shoe Company is this very cool statue, which is, of course, made of normal-sized women's pump shoes. And this picture, as you might imagine, took me forever to draw. I had to draw so many shoes there, and then I had to color them in. And have you ever been drawing and your hand is like hurting at the end? You got to shake it out because it's cramping up. Yeah, that's what happened here. I think I had to take like a 2 or 3 day break after doing this picture because it had absolutely worked my hand raw from all those shoes. There you go. Well, it was like Imelda Marcos's closet there. Anyway, not to mention those steel animal sculptures from the St. Louis Zoo. We all know those. They were hanging out with the monarch from the Butterfly House there too. That's right. Gotta love that Butterfly House. They were all there. Every statue, every landmark, every St. Louis gem. I think you might see some statues and landmarks here that you recognize. There's the Chuck Berry statue from the Loop. Bernie Federko statue right there outside where the Blues play. Stanley Cup champs, Holla Blues. Okay. Cherokee, the big Cherokee Native American statue that is outside Cherokee Street. Not to mention there's this weird-looking half-bird, half-man statue in the back. That is also from the City Garden downtown. It is called Bird. It's quite unusual. You will know it when you see it. So they were all there, every statue and landmark, every St. Louis gem, and they just wanted to have fun with me, and I couldn't disappoint them. There's more monuments. There's the big sign from the Grove, love the Grove. There's the Thinker Bunny, that is from Wash U. There is kind of that interesting-looking man on a horse that's in Clayton. And by the way, he has a bumper sticker that says Clayton, not just for lawyers. It's for other people, too, so that's good to know. Also, in the back, you can see the giant ketchup bottle in Collinsville, Illinois. We have the world's largest ketchup bottle, and that is you'll always know if you see that, by the way, and you cross the river, head over by Collinsville, Illinois, because you might suddenly be craving like tater tots or curly fries, and you're like, why am I just jonesing for some fries? There's the ketchup bottle. I must have seen it, and subconsciously, I needed me some taters. So there we go. Anyway, all these statues now in this boy's front lawn. What are they going to do? Well, let's see. That day, we did a little of everything as we toured every inch of the loop. Can anyone tell me what they're doing in this picture? Yeah, a Segway Tour. They are going on a Segway Tour. This is the first time, by the way, I've ever drawn a giant praying mantis riding a Segway and a T-Rex riding a Segway. But what I found, this was kind of a nice surprise, that both a praying mantis and a T-Rex have perfect arms for riding a Segway. As you can see here from this picture, their arms are perfect for holding the Segway handles. They got the little hooks, so that was perfect. That was a nice surprise. Anyway, and also I could cross off my bucket list. I've drawn now a giant praying mantis riding a Segway. All right, so that day we did a little of everything as we toured every inch of the loop. I took them on a float trip. Some could barely fit in a canoe. How many people here have been on float trips? Raise your hands. Now, float trips, for those of you watching who are not in Missouri or not from Missouri, float trips, that's basically what we call in Missouri, like going rafting or canoeing or whitewater rafting. Usually a float trip is not, there's not a ton of whitewater. It's more relaxed. It usually involves bringing a cooler and some food and some music, and it is a Missouri thing to do when it gets warmer. But here, I've got a piece of advice for you here. If you ever go on a float trip with the giant eyeball from Lawmeyer Sculpture Garden, you're going to need to do all the paddling. Do not expect the giant eyeball to help. That's because he doesn't have any arms. Okay, gotcha. All right. So I took them on a float trip. Some could barely fit in the canoe. I took them to the National Blues Museum, which brought huge smiles to the group. And then we hopped a trolley car bound for the Walk of Fame on the loop. And the trolley didn't bump into anything. That was good. We'll see what happens with the trolley, to be continued, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, this, as you can see, this picture kind of dates me a little bit. I was doing this when the trolley was in the works, and it was in the works for quite a while. This was a fun picture for me to draw, too, because I had to get like some of the bigger sculptures, as you can see, on top of the trolley. The arches on top of the trolley, kicking out his big arch legs, and I gave him the ketchup bottle and the monarch from the butterfly house for some company, and everything was good. So they hopped the trolley car bound for the Walk of Fame on the loop. Well, while I was out having adventures with all of my brand new friends, the rest of the city of St. Louis was empty, where those landmarks had been. Oh no. These people, look, they even put up a missing sign. Missing the arch, the man, the big eyeball, and whatever this thing is. Again, that's the sculpture called the bird. But these are our most unusual of our sculptures in this book. Anyway, so people in St. Louis freaking out. Everything is different. They're saying, where did all of our monuments go? There they are, called a little girl. And the crowd said, go ahead, lead on. And the little girl led the crowd to the landmarks in my front lawn. Please, she said to me, I know you've had a wonderful day, but without all those landmarks, St. Louis just isn't the same. We need them. They inspire us. Our history, they prolong. So would it be okay if they all went back to where they belong? We all knew she was right, and I looked up at my brand new friend, and he gave my shoulder a nudge. It was a big nudge. And then he disappeared with the wind. They all went back, but as each returned to his or her own neck of the woods, they each gave me a wave and let me know today had been something good. So, when I tell you guys that this story is true, you're probably going to roll your eyes and groan. But let me ask you, what would you do if the arch followed you back home? And that, my friends, is my pet arch. So this is always a fun point whenever I'm reading to classes in schools, and I go to a lot of schools, because I always ask the class, I'm like, hey, what would you do if the arch followed you home? And now you get like the best answers, as you might imagine. Some kids are saying, I would call 911 and say, help, I got an arch here, get him back to the arch grounds. Others say, oh my gosh, I could go up to the top of the arch and look around whenever I wanted. And the best thing of all, no tickets and no lines. So it's great. It's always a bunch of fun answers. By the way, in the back of the book, I included what I call a who's who of landmarks in the Lou. Yes, it is a who's who of all the different landmarks in the book, including the arch. There's the big statue from Clayton. There's the T-Rex, the giant ketchup bottle, the Missouri Botanical Garden dancing fairies. There's those Dogtown turtles. We love those guys. Over on this side, we've got the giant eyeball, the bunny thinker, King Louie, all these different monuments. And that way you can look them up yourself and then even go out and see them in person. And you can cross them all off your list. Now, to do this book, I had to do a little bit of research. Here's a about the author photo of me interviewing the Arch. Took a little while. The Arch, the Arch was a little bit cold at first, but got him warmed up, and we ended up talking for quite a bit. That was nice. Wanted to tell you too that in addition to the Arch book, I have let's see, 6 other books that are St. Louis related that are out there, and show you these really fast. There's the St. Louis Night Before Christmas. In this book, you get to find out where Santa went to high school. That's important information in St. Louis. St. Louis 12 Days of Christmas, kind of a follow-up story. Fun stuff there. Funniest Halloween joke in St. Louis. That is a fun one because in St. Louis, we tell Halloween jokes. We tell jokes on Halloween. But a lot of people in St. Louis think that everybody tells these jokes. Au contraire. Not quite. Only St. Louis kids tell them. Then I've got Who Moved My Gooey Butter Cake, which is a whodunit about a girl or dog and her little missing gooey butter cake, and they go around St. Louis looking for it. And this book was just a huge excuse to eat a ton of gooey butter cake, which I did, and I could call it book research. That's how it goes. Here's Cloudy with a Chance of Toasted Rav. This is a book that will make you very, very hungry. Basically, I've got a St. Louis food problem. I do. So this one has like 30 different kinds of St. Louis food in it. And this is the most recent one that's St. Louis related. Where did the Easter Bunny go to high school? That was out just this spring. So want to circle back real quick and talk about something that I alluded to before the reading, and that is that the Gateway Arch Park Foundation is actually going to be giving away 10 copies of my signed book, My Pet Arch, which is somewhere around here. I know I set it down. Here it is. 10 signed copies of My Pet Arch. The Gateway Arch Park Foundation is going to be giving away. And what you need to do to be eligible for this giveaway and those details. I'm such a prop author and illustrator, but here we go. You need to follow the Gateway Arch Park on, you can follow them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but definitely Facebook. Follow them. They're going to release details about how you get how you can be eligible for a free signed copy. Also, you can feel while you're liking things on Facebook and following, you can look for Ryan Nusbickel, author. That happens to be me. And that just that'll keep you up to date on all the different books and different things I am doing. Also has a link to my website where you can buy books from local retailers in St. Louis or even online and get them shipped anywhere you choose. So two things to follow on the old Facebook: Gateway Arch Park and Ryan Nusbickel, author. Gateway Arch Park is also planning to do some additional readings coming up, featuring moi reading some of my other books. So some of the other books that we'll likely be doing, like Who Moved My Gooey Butter Cake, Cloudy with a Chance of Toasted Wrap. So you can find out about those readings coming up by following those 2 Facebook sites. And again, this is all part of National Park Week this week. This is obviously a really unusual year for celebrating National Park Week, but we want to make sure that you do look out to your national parks. If you're not able to visit any, if they're not open, where you can do some social distancing and see them. If they're not if it's not possible for you to do that, and obviously everyone totally understands the reasons there, that you check them out online and check them out for your kids and let them see what awaits them when things change a little bit with our world and we're able to get out and do all those outdoor things that we're so used to doing. Finally, I just want to say thank you for your support. I've been doing these books for 7 years now, and people in St. Louis are so sweet and so kind to me as far as their interest and their support. And I'm just a dopey dad here in St. Louis who enjoys writing goofy books and making people laugh if possible. I always say that I get my ideas by trying to keep my daughters from screaming at schnooks. So we'll see if I can keep coming up with ideas to do that. And again, My best to all of you. Stay safe, stay well. Please follow us if you enjoyed what you saw today, because we'll be offering you more. And best wishes to all of you. And take care, and we'll look for you real soon. Thanks again. This is Ryan Nusbickel.